The Partnership for Peace project, co-funded by the European Union, was set up with the aim of building capacity of non-state actors in 3 conflict-prone regions by strengthening their knowledge base and know-how to mitigate in pre- and post-conflict situations. Commenced in July 2009, the project was implemented by Konrad Adenauer Foundation in the 3 regions of Rift Valley, Nyanza, and Western through 2 local partners, the Catholic Justice and Peace Commission in the Diocese of Eldoret, Mount Elgon Resident Association, and an associate community initiative Action Group Kenya. Konrad Adenauer Foundation has worked in Kenya since 1974 in the areas of democracy, good governance, and the rule of law. However, this was the first time that the foundation expanded its crisis prevention and conflict management knowledge to Kenya. The foundation established a coordination office in Kisumu City, a centrally located place based on the focused target area with experienced project staff to effectively implement the action through the regional partners. In each of the 3 regions, there are a number of multi-sectoral non-state actors having access to the different ethnic groups, working with strong involvement of the population on a basis of confidence and partnership. The concrete 152 non-state actors involved in the action were determined by the initial mapping survey. The target partners were representatives of local non-state actors, volunteer trainees from non-state actors, grassroots experts, more than 2,100 divisional community leaders, and policy makers at local and at national level. This documentary traces a path through Kenya, covering a wide range of locations from the southern border with Tanzania to the western border with Uganda. Speaking with the local peace actors, civic leaders, community members, the film tells the story of the work that has been done in these 3 regions by the Partnership for Peace project and looks at what lies ahead for Kenya. The Partnership for Peace project was formed as a result of a gap that was identified whereby the non-state actors didn't have the knowledge and skills on how to mitigate conflicts at the community level. The state actors, on the other hand, were either forceful or reactionary in handling conflicts. So to meet this need, to meet this gap, the Partnership for Peace project came in to bridge the gap between the non-state actors and the state actors to ensure that they are trained on how to mitigate conflicts at the community level so that it will not escalate to the national level.
The narrative of conflict in Kenya can be put into 4 phases. The first phase was the period before the colonization, or what we call the pre-colonial period. The second phase is the colonization period between 1902 and 1963. The third phase is during the early phases of independence, 1963 to 1992, and the last phase is 1992 to the current period, which we normally call the multi-party era. To understand conflicts in the multi-party era is to go back to the 1963-1969. That is when the seeds of the current conflicts were actually planted, either in terms of the ruling party then starting to use violence to retain power, or you find the historical injustices like the land issues. That is when they were planted. And land in itself is not a cause of conflict. Land becomes an issue when a given community, a given group is mobilized around that land, and it is made to look like it is a grievance. And that is what started with the advent of multipartyism in 1992. Tribal differences have always existed, and like land, they have all been easy to manipulate because they are things which never change, and it is easier for politicians to mobilize. How do you do it? One, you mobilize your community by presenting it as under siege. So you get their unity. And who is putting them under siege? Another community. The seeds for what we had in 2007, 2008 were actually planted in 2005 when we had the referendum. At the referendum, there was a move to marginalize other communities. And using the mobilization around ethnicity, around control of state house, around land, and using the grievances of marginalization by by militias, then everybody who was involved in peace issues could see that we were headed for some violence. The defining features of the post-election violence were basically three. One is that it tended to pit majority of Kenyans against one community, which was quite unfortunate. Two, that unlike the previous violence, it tended to be more widespread. A third feature is that towards the end of January 2008, the conflict started to take a class struggle, where it was now pitting the people who thought they were marginalized in the slums. Now already started to see that the people, the middle class and the upper income were the ones who were benefiting, and they wanted actually, and that's why there was also a lot of looting. Instead of just people demonstrating, they were looting as a way of trying to redistribute wealth. So those were some of the features that I can say distinguished the post-election violence from the other violences that we had had in the previous period. One of the consequences of the post-election violence, it was like a reality check to Kenyans. For a very long time, Kenyans had thought that conflict was probably for pastoral areas, was for other countries, as we were an island in a sea of turbulence, and for us, we only hosted people who are quarreling. Now we realize that we are. Now, one thing that has happened and is very encouraging is that a lot of research has been done to look at the causes of conflict in Kenya. And a lot of initiatives have been put up. We have the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, which is also working hard. The local district peace committees, whether they are the district peace committee or the provincial peace forum or the county peace forums which have been started. And look at almost all institutions, they are having a peace element.
What the Partnership for Peace project did was to engage leading surveyors in this country. Most of them are renowned in the research work. They went out in 3 regions that we intended to work, the regions of Nyanza, Western, and Rift Valley. And they had questionnaires that helped them to identify the right organizations that we were supposed to work with. So they came up with 40 in Nyanza, 40 in Western, and initially 40 in Rift Valley. But as we continue with our work, the demand for inclusion of other non-state actors grew up, and we were very open and flexible, and we allowed them to team up and to join the Partnership for Peace project. The Partnership for Peace project did various activities in the 3 regions that we were working in. We had a survey that was carried out to map out the NGOs. We had research called The Invisible Violence that has been published already. We already have a training manual that was used to train the more than 152 non-state actors that we have in the Partnership for Peace project. We also managed to organize different teams from different regions to visit each other and learn from them about the best practices, share the different conflicts that are in those areas, and see on the best way to mitigate them in case they occur in their areas in future. We also had the training of experts. These people were supposed to be backup to the non-state actors in the different regions to help in policy dialogue and informal mediation. The 5 networks were established through the Partnership for Peace project, and they are working very hard. We have 3 in Rift Valley, namely Bakena, Kopen, and Nabok. In Western Province, we have Repen, and in Nyanza, we have the NPPA. The formation of networks was to achieve a number of objectives that we thought could help these non-state actors even long after the project is ended. And the first one was to strengthen their communication and coordination amongst the non-state actors that are found in the same region. They would call each other and find advice on how to handle a certain conflict, what they need to do to ensure that we have a peaceful elections. Another thing why we encouraged the formation of these networks was to ensure that they strengthen each other's capacity, because you'd find that one non-state actor is good at mobilizing the participants. Another one is good at talking to the government. So they would build on each other's strengths and then continue and realize their objective. Located in Kenya's diverse Rift Valley, Eldoret was a major hotspot during the post-election violence in 2007 and 2008. Some of the major causes of conflict in Rift Valley have been ethnicity, poverty, patrimonial and ethnic-based politics, unjust, inequitable resource distribution by state and non-state actors, especially in relation to infrastructure and other indicators of development. Through divisional community leaders meetings organized by the project persons affected by violent conflicts were able to speak out. The CJPC program coordinator, James Kimisoi, has been active in building peace in the region for many years. He has worked closely with the 3 networks established in the region, including Kopen.
We are in the Sacred Heart of Jesus Cathedral, Catholic Diocese of Eldoret. The space that you see behind me is where in 2007, for 2 weeks, we had 10,000 people taking refuge in the church here. In 2007, we saw the people of Kenya were already divided into 2 camps, ODM and PNU. And this was clear in around July of 2007.
In this area, we have been having violence during election time because of the incitement of the politicians of either community. The Kikuyu, the Kalenjin, the Luos, each one wanting to have power, to have political power. And whenever we see a Kikuyu, an aspirant, and a Kalenjin aspirant here, they incite the community, the Kalenjin incite their own, and the Kikuyu incite their own. So now, the communities start war.
By way of reconciling the past and present, Partnership for Peace project has held several divisional leaders meetings at Kiambaa, at a place in which on New Year's Day, women and children taking refuge in the Kenya Assemblies of God Church in Eldoret were burned alive by an organized group in a clear example of ethnic violence.
Mwaka wa 2007, 1 January, ndio hatujui nini walifikiria, wakakuja wakatufamia. Tulipoona wamekuja kushambulia shamba letu, tukaamua kukimbilia kanisani ambalo lilikuwa pahali hapa. Tulipokimbilia hapa kutafuta usalama, pia hawakuserenda, walitufuata paka pahali hapa, akaanza kutupiga na mawe, mishale, mikuki. Sasa tukaona hatuna lingine la kufanya ila tu kuingia ndani ya kanisa. Tulipoingia ndani ya kanisa, ndio hatukujua nani aliwasha hiyo moto. Tulistukia tu kuona moto inawaka tukiwa ndani. Hivyo wengi wetu tuliponyoka na wengine wao wakaungua ndani ya kanisa.
Ndani ya kanisa kulikuwa na aunti yangu ambaye alikuwa na mtoto mdogo. Aliingia kwa kanisa, hasa wakati aliingia kwa kanisa akafanya nini, moto ikamshika kaungua. Shukenya alikuwa amebeba mtoto ikaungua. Hasa mtoto naye akaanguka chini. Sasa wakati alikuwa anasachi mtoto pia naye akaungua. Sasa alipoungua sana vile ndiye akaona apati mtoto, kwa sababu alikuwa anasachi mtoto. Akaona haoni mtoto, akatoka, watu wakamfuruta, akatoka nje. Sasa alipotoka nje ndio tukaenda Gathedral huko.
During the post-election violence, it was mostly affected. Houses were burned, properties were destroyed, so they stole animals, cattle, sheep, goats, all that. Yeah, and people were killed also here. Yeah, Mumbai, Nakakam is in a smart location. And people here, the households are 242. They have been here for more than 4 years. These people came here during the post-election violence in 2007-2008. They came here, they settled here, and the government promised them to buy them land. And 4 years down the line, they have not bought these people the land. And they are still living in camp in this state that you are seeing here. Their children are not going to school because they can't afford even to buy basic needs like uniforms and even to get food. And water here is a problem. They go around 3 kilometers to get water. The district peace committee are the people in the ground here from different communities working when they have a problem, a conflict, early warning in either community. They come together and call the warring communities and they dialogue together.
Mary Njoki has been involved with Partnership for Peace for the last 3 years. She organizes large peace meetings through the North Rift region that often involve theatrical performances and singing, which deal with issues regarding violence and peace.
Sababu ya hii mkutano kubwa sana tuliita leo ni kufanya watu wakumbuke pahali walitoka. Wasije tena wakarudi 207 vile pahali 207 tulikuwa. Hatutaki 2012 kurudia hiyo makosa. Kwa sababu vile election ilianaunziwa, kila mtu, wale wakubwa walikuwa huko, watu walikuwa nasikiza tu, wengine wakiwatch TV. So dakika moja kila mtu alishout na kutoka kwa barabara na kuanza. Na ndio umeona hiyo katika hiyo wakifanya simulation walikuwa wanasema vile kitu ilifanyika. I have been with Conrad through CJPC Eldoret. We have been working with them in the ground, and then we have been here. That is why you have seen people, they are very patient to hear what you have said, because already they have that information. Since we started, we were trained by CAS, and now after training, I come to talk to my people and I train them. So that is how you see the people, they have peace.
Peace starts with, for example, me, and then it goes to somebody else. So that is what I actually mean by peace is the responsibility of all of us. And of course, as a government, we are there to ensure that people live in peace.
CJPC did not work alone. CJPC in this region had to marshal support from communities, civil society organizations, members of different churches. We came together and say, what can we do as one group to ensure that our people live in peace? So we came together, and Partnership for Peace was really an instrument that came in handy when we were really looking for a way of coming together. So Partnership for Peace came and strengthened the capacities of the members.
In the fertile Central Highlands, Molo was an epicenter of the post-election violence. Eliud Ndegwa, the coordinator of the Hope Creator Foundation, has worked extensively with the local government, other non-state actors, and the Council of Elders to ensure the region is seeing positive results and a far more harmonious society.
In Hope Creator Foundation, we are covering 4 areas. That's the four main objectives. That's on socio-economic, community livelihoods, disaster preparedness, and peace building. we got friends of that is Partnership for Peace, Ada Conrad, Adinoa, Steve Tang, and we have been working with them on peace building and conflict mitigation for the last 3 years. In this area, there are different kind of conflicts, like the cattle rustling, cattle theft, and we have been holding focused group discussion with the different communities, and through those leaders, we have managed to resolve some of these problems. We have discovered that preaching peace through the elder people, and especially the elderly people in this area, it's working very well. And if she or he can tell the young person, being a daughter or son, not to go to fight, not to be misused by a politician, they will understand.
Himu ya hiki mkutano ni kufundisha watoto wetu vile watakaa maisha yao hata kama sisi. Wakiwa namna hiyo, ukiwa wewe hapana fundisha mtoto yako, atakuwa mbali mbali, lakini ukimfundisha atakuwa anapita vile vile njia yako mtoto.
Through this training of CAS and the partnership, for sure we have managed to bring different communities in the area and to make them understand, and we are resolving the problem as a result of these meetings.
Since 1988, 1992, 1997, 1992, 2007, those election cycles, something happens in Molo. And we decided to make it a practice now. When we had a referendum, we decided not to have these problems in Molo. Up to date, as put it, there's peace, there's a lot of business going on. The market places are filled with all communities, and that is an indicator that there's a peace. We are trying to nurture that peace so that investors can come to this area. If the investors come, I think it goes without saying that employment will be created, the idlers will not be there, the youth will be fully engaged with that. And when you have those people engaged, you don't have idle minds, I think the peace will be there. It is very crucial, not even in Molo, our country, not even in our country, the whole world. That's why they are crying for peace, for peace, for peace.
The Kaptembwa slums in Nakuru were the site of some of the worst outbreaks during the post-election violence. Partnership for Peace project has been also working with youth organizations in the 3 regions. Genesis Arts Creations, a partner of the project, has taken a new approach to maintaining positive steps to non-violence by engaging the youth in collaborative, creative, artistic projects.
Genesis Arts Creations, it's a youth-based community serving organization which we founded in 2006 with an intention of empowering the youth, at least in 1, discovering their potential, and 2, addressing their issues to do with, that is, economic empowerment. During the 2007 PEV, very little could go on. You could even have money, but you cannot even buy airtime or anything. So you find even the money is useless. You cannot operate business because people come and destroy everything. So we discovered that peace is the center to everything, for a nation to be built, for development to go on. In terms of everything, there has to be peace so that at least people can be able to coexist and can be able to relate well and be able to do business as usual with others. When it comes now to the actual people who are used to do the violence and to implement the vices which are hired by the politicians, is the youth. So what we did is to try and enlighten the youth to understand that they can do more and they can do better than being used to cause destruction. We've ensured that at least youth can use art and theatre as a communication tool to reach their fellow youth. Youth a peer-based approach because youth understand youth more. Some of the projects that we do through the art and theatre, there is something we call magnet theatre. Magnet theatre is a form of theatre that we use theatre that youth come and it has different stages. We have the pre-session whereby the youth prepare themselves we base on a certain theme. For instance, we go to an area like Kaptembwa, we look what are the issues affecting people there. So if we find either it could be land, it could be ethnic differences, it could be water, it could be anything. And then we come up with a skit or drama, try basing it on the real situation on the ground. Then from there we present it in a way that it has a dilemma. The purpose of the dilemma in the skit is to ensure that the community has an entrance point to participate in the play. Because during all our theatre sessions, we ensure that the community brings out the solution themselves. As an organization, we believe in power of collaboration and networking. And so in the process of our peace building and community work, we've met several partners and collaborators, and part of it is a partnership for peace, which we've worked in the project strengthening on state actors, at least in the South Rift. And I can say the partnership has been great to us because we've gone through several, I can say we've gone through trainings, and also we've formed a network in the South Rift, and part of it we've also been part of the website that was developed. So I can say at least the partnership was of great assistance to us.
Mount Elgon district borders Uganda to the west. The district has experienced vicious conflicts revolving around grievances over land, rooted in a long historical quest for fair and equitable distribution of land spanning back to the colonial regime. Mount Elgon conflict flared shortly after the 2005 National Constitution referendum that led to the emergence of the Sabaot Land Defense Force militia, determined to resist what they considered unfair land allocation attempts by the government. Over the next few years, the SLDF increased its control over the region, forcibly displacing the unwanted population and committing numerous atrocities in doing so. Since then, Peter Chem and Mount Elgon Resident Association have been working with Partnership for Peace project to engage all members of the community in building peace.
I work with Mount Elgon Resident Association, it's short for MERA, which is based in Mount Elgon, and the offices are here in Cheptais. So far, we have worked with several organizations in the entire Mount Elgon, and we have been partnering with the Action Aid International, Kenya, Cheptais DI, and other relevant organizations. But in 2009, we partnered with Conrad in the program funded by European Union as the focal point for Western region. And we have been working with the civil society organizations, which are 40 in Western. And we have managed to train them on issues of early warning mechanism, how they can respond to conflict. And we have formed a network called Western Regional Peace Network under the coordination of MERA. Mount Elgon especially have been the issue. In the issue of allocation of the land. It has been not in that way smooth since 1966, since the independence of Kenyatta as the first president. There were 7,000 people in Chabuk Phase 3. But during the allocation, the settlement process did not take place. There were some people saying there was corruption. So the people that were left out formed a group. And this group was called Mount Elgon Sabaot Land Defense Force, which was also a gang that was fighting the rights of the Sabaots who were left out during the process of allocation.
The SLDF are people who are the Sabaot community within this locality. And the same people, they were not born to be SLDF, but they got annoyed. And they decided to go in the forest and formed the SLDF.
The government decided to try to look for those people who are against the government's opinion. And they were looking for them to be shot, not to be arrested, but to be shot. So that was the big reason that caused the formation of SLDF.
Oh, the first time SLDF came here was 16th November 2007. So all other candidates that were supported by, that opposed the militia, they were to be punished, and you can now see how they almost destroyed. That one was a punishment. They came here around 6. I called the DO, Cheptais. He said there is nothing he can do about it. One of my stepbrother's son went up to Kanganga police station. He was told that one is a support issue. Police cannot interfere. So from 6 p.m. up to midnight, they were carrying provision, mattresses, beds, including books. But I only carry what they wanted. They wanted my passport, the identity card, and the money. That is what they demanded from me. With my children, they stripped us naked. They poured paraffin on us. In fact, it was lucky that some could not open the car. They did not know how to get fuel, petrol from the car. So up to that midnight, and then they went away.
Basically, we were involved in patrolling. We were also involved in pursuing the group which called itself the Support Land Defense Force in this particular area. So we were able to pursue them. Most of them, we arrested them. Yeah, you realize that within the new settled land, like now in Phase 3, the administration police have opened some posts within that particular area. And because of the phobia people had initially, when people now see the police working close with them, and they also they get that assurance that the government is also with us. And you realize also in the same particular area, there is an army barrack which has also been settled there, just on the far end. So you realize that the community is actually embracing peace with a lot of positive attitude, because when they see the police, they don't have any fears again.
SLDF currently are not a threat, because now they have been integrated in the community, and they are working closely with the people in the community. Especially, we are also working with them in our programs. We are making them feel accepted in the community, because some of them, when they were jailed, when they came out, people were seeing them as a threat. But for now, they are not that way a threat, because they are working with the community. We have made them interact with other partners working in the program. As I see in front, I'm seeing a strong peace in front of us, because people are working together. We are working with strong partners like government officials, working with other partners coming in to support some programs. Because from the first, when we started the program, we did some surveys so that we know where the missing caps in the ground. So we knew there are some developments that are missing. So we are trying to come up with other partners so that we can support the missing caps, so that in future we can't see other issues again.
The Kuria people are Bantu-speaking, found in South Nyanza, and extends along the Kenya-Tanzania border, with 80% found in Tanzania and only 20% in Kenya. They are comprised of 4 clans, namely the Bairege, Nyabasi, Bagumbe, and Bakira. Joe Chacha is the Director for People for Rural Change Trust, whose organization has benefited from the capacity trainings, beside him being a member of the local expert pool, which consists of experts drawn from the non-state actors in the partnership and highly esteemed and trusted members of communities.
I work for this organization known as People for Rural Change Trust. It is an organization that came into existence to respond to a wide range of issues that we had singled out as being very, very pertinent to this community, and specifically this region. We address issues on human rights. We address issues on leadership and governance, peace building and conflict transformation, agriculture and environment. The conflict in Korea dates back to time immemorial, really, when I was growing up. I remember Korea fighting against Korea. Korea as an ethnic community is divided into 4 subclans. In Kenya, there are 4 subclans. But the tribe or the ethnic community, Korea, extends all the way from Kenya Rift Valley up to Tanzania Rift Valley. In 1989, February, there was a forceful eviction of the people, of the Kuria people from Transmara. It was a time when, of course, there was no respect for the rule of law. And the victims of that eviction, more than 22 years down the line, they're still landless, they're still homeless. They live as squatters, actually. They are really a forgotten history.
Kwa matatizo ambayo tumepata sisi watu wa Kuria, sehemu za Nchimaru, sana ni matatizo zaidi ni vita vinatokea kuhusu maneno ya ardhi. Mwaka 1985 tulichomea miji. Tulikuwa tunaishi hapo, tulikuwa tumeiza chenga mashule na tulikuwa tumeishi hakuna shida yoyote ile. Sasa tulipohamishwa ndio shida imekuwa nyingi. Hata wengine wetu sana wanaishi kwenye chemichemi ya maji, hawajapata sehemu ya kukaa mpaka sasa hivi.
It is also during that time that cattle will be stolen from, say, from one clan, Nyabasi clan, to Buirege, or from Buirege to Nyabasi. When these cattle cross over the boundary, then the whole community, the raided community, starts blaming the other community. That community has raided us. We must revenge. So some drivers or some gatekeepers in that community come up and start saying, you see, that community is so bad, they raided us, we must go and revenge. Yes, we must go and revenge. So there is a counter-attack. They go and raid the cattle. Once they raid, those ones will also say the same thing. So during these workshops, one question that really changed the perception of the community was, how many times have we been told that we must go to revenge? And they said very many times. After this group went to raid from the other community to revenge, brought back the cattle, how many people were given, how many people benefited from this revenge? Because they went to raid, they went to revenge by raiding the same number of cattle to your community, didn't they? Yes. So how many victims who had lost their cows were compensated? Nobody. So at community level, we are really advocating for the local dispute resolution mechanism. Why are we rooting for the local dispute resolution mechanisms? We have got reasons that we feel that it's the most suitable means for settling dispute. Before you here is Chief's Baraza. The Chief's Baraza is a constituted panel of community elders or community persons like you're seeing, basically tasked with mitigating conflict within the community. It is really actually a jury. It's like a community a court. The complainant lodges his or her complaint to the community elders. The community elders summon the accused. They are given a date of hearing in front of the community and in front of the community jury, which is composed of men and women, totaling to about, currently the number stands at 32, but those ones who are present, normally they're about 15 to around about 20, around about there. Then it is one-to-one. These people very much understand the community. So basically that is one area that as an organization we have been trying to address our conflict resolution.
Besides the work the Partnership for Peace has done in areas affected by the post-election violence and land issues, the project has worked with organizations dealing with gender-based violence. Rosemary Nyaswa is a trained member of the pool of experts based in Siaya County. Partnership for Peace project has been working with women organizations in Nyanza, Western and Rift Valley regions to build their capacities in mitigating conflict. Women are key stakeholders to peace.
The post-election violence affected women in such a way that most of the women are living in the local community and their husbands are outside looking for income and doing other things. And we have scenarios whereby some were forced to come at the time they didn't plan to come. There are women who had stayed outside and their families had bought land outside. So when the post-election violence took place, they were forced to come back. So we call them returnees. Most of them came back. They had a home or somewhere to stay, but most of their resources. They were forced to live outside. Some were hurt, some were killed. Some, when they came, of course, they were not prepared to come. So when they came, they could not easily get into the mainstream because some of them had left home maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, so many, and they had settled outside. So it actually affected the women greatly. Since the year 2009, when Conrad came within the region, we've been trained and empowered through knowledge and skills on peace building and conflict transformation. We've had a lot of exchange visits outside the region, and the skills we gained from the Conrad training has helped us down there at the local level. As a chairperson of the organization, I've always represented them in so many workshops that Conrad has held, and the one that has really inspired me and enhanced my skill is the expert pool. I've been able to use my skills and knowledge to enhance the peace building in our community. I've had contacts with the district commissioner, the provincial administration, such that we were even given the documents and the certificates to show that we had undergone the trainings. So I'm able to attend the district peace committee forums at the district level, and then whenever we have issues at the local level, maybe at the locational level, I've always been called to intervene in issues like the land conflicts. We also have, we call them the boundary conflicts. I've attended about 3 of them, 3 forums that had the boundary conflicts issues. We've also used the frontline SMS to tell our people how best they can use the early warning, early response system so that you are able to know what is happening at the far end of the community. They've been able, in fact, we were trying to talk to the the Ministry of Education down there so that we can also talk with the teachers and also introduce peace building in the schools.
In the areas where we've been working in the 3 regions, we've witnessed less confrontational between different communities. For example, in areas like Ndefo in Nakuru, in areas around Wareng, Kiambaa region, in the North Rift, and many other areas that we've been working in. We've also managed to give feedback through provincial dialogue meetings and national meetings to the National Cohesion and Integration Draft Policy, and also on other issues like negative ethnicity, on land, on sugar, that we managed to mobilize the non-state actors to give their recommendations and feedback. And this we feel very happy because their voices have been heard by the relevant stakeholders, both in government and the non-state actors. There's also been formation of informal and formal early warning systems. For example, in Nyanza, we're having the Nyanza early warning and early response that has been set up, and already a team is in place. We've managed to train the team of experts on how to use the frontline SMS and crowd mapping. And this is very fast and a very efficient way of relaying information to many people and even locating the location where a conflict is supposedly happening. So we feel very much happy because many of the non-state actors are using it.